Welcome to Miss Johnson's Science Lab. Today we're going to be doing a lot of science. Just kidding, let's get rid of that. Actually, today what we're going to be focusing on is this, a banana. A banana? Yeah, specifically extracting DNA from a banana. Did you know that DNA or bananas have DNA? Well, for something to be called living or alive, and bananas were once living, it must be able to reproduce. Cells are the functional units of living things like a banana. They reproduce in part by making and passing deoxyribonucleic acid or DNA. Say that 10 times fast. From a parent cell, like a mom or a dad, to an offspring cell. All DNA is made up of the same chemical bases. The order of the bases determines the proteins the cell makes and the function the cell performs. So DNA can tell us a lot of things about what's going on inside of our body to how we look like on the outside. What we're going to do in this activity is we're going to learn that DNA is a component of living and once living things, just like this banana, and that DNA can actually be extracted and observed. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the DNA out of this banana so we can look at it with our own eyes. Before we start this experiment, let's make a couple predictions about what might happen. What do you think DNA looks like? Have you ever seen a picture of DNA before? Do you think the DNA you saw, that maybe is human DNA, will look the same as the DNA inside a banana? Think about that for a second, turn to your partner and discuss. We'll reflect back on it later. And let's talk quickly about the materials we have here with us today. So we're gonna need one of these, blender. It's pretty necessary. We have our little ninja with us today. We're gonna need about 3/4 cup of distilled water, 1 large banana, some salt, some clear dish soap or shampoo, and about 15 mils or just over a tablespoon of rubbing alcohol chilled in the fridge. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our banana, peeled banana. How do you guys peel your banana? I always do it this way, but everyone has their own unique way. We're gonna put the banana, compost that later, into the blender. We're gonna take our 3/4 cups of distilled water and we're gonna put 1/2 water into the blender. So what's 3/4 minus 1/2? I'll let you do the math. An important thing to remember is that even though this smells really good and it looks like we're making a smoothie, this experiment isn't to be eaten. So make sure you don't forget that. Once we have our ingredients in our blender, we're gonna blend it for 25 seconds until it's all blended and there's no clumps left. Okay, now that our blend is completely pulverized or blended up, we're gonna put this mixture into the cup. And for now, we're just gonna set it to the side. You're gonna grab your salt, you're gonna grab your dish soap, and your leftover water. We're going to put 2 tablespoons of our leftover water into the bowl that has the salt. We're gonna put that off to the side. And we're gonna take our dish soap and add 1 teaspoon of clear dish soap. Just add it all right in there. Okay, now here's the hard part. We're gonna grab our little concoction of ingredients here and we need to mix it up until everything is mixed together and all of the salt is dissolved. But the secret is we don't wanna do this and create any foam at all. So that's gonna require us being really patient and really gentle with our stirring. So do we wanna stir like this and aggravate the water and make a lot of bubbles? No. So we want to take whatever we're stirring our mixture with and slowly and carefully mix up the concoction without making any bubbles. This might take a couple more minutes. So I say probably mix for about 2 minutes and then we'll check back and continue the next step. Okay, now that we've mixed all of our ingredients together, the salts, the water, the soap. You can see now the concoction is completely blended. The concoction is completely blended and there's no sediments left over and no bubbles, which is exactly how we want it. So now what we're gonna do is we are going to grab our banana mixture again and our tablespoon. We're gonna take 2 tablespoons of this banana mixture and add it into the solution we just spent our time mixing. Now, we're going to mix this concoction together for 10 minutes. So continue stirring and mixing for a total of 10 minutes. I promise it will be worth it, and we'll check back in a little bit. Okay. So now we've been mixing our mixture for about 10 minutes and it looks something like this. Take a look at what happened. What do you notice? What has developed? It seems like some sort of foam. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's from the bubbles or do you think it's something else? Take a second to think about that. Now we're going to move on to the filtering process. So what you can use ideally would be a coffee filter. I didn't have access to one, so we are turning to our trusted paper towel. You can tape it to a cup. I used an elastic band, works just as well. When we're putting in our filter, we want to put it a little bit into the cup, but we want to make sure that the bottom of the filter doesn't touch the bottom, just so it has space for the liquid to come out. Once we have our filter system set up, we're going to pour a little mixture into the filter and we're going to wait another 10 minutes. What's going to happen is that the liquid is going to be strained through the filter or filtered through the filter, and it's going to turn into a liquid called filtrate. So wait for about 9 minutes, leave it just as it is. When there's 1 minute left, take a little spoon and stir up the solution here just to make sure that all the liquid is coming out and we have as much filtrate that we can to work with. So once you put your solution into the filter, we'll wait for 10 minutes and I'll see you then. Okay, so now it has been about 10 minutes and we are left with a filtrate that looks like this. What happened? Did you notice anything? Now that we're done this step, we're going to remove our filter and put it off to the side for now. Now all that we have left is our filtrate that we created. We're going to grab our rubbing alcohol from wherever it's being chilled. And we're going to take our filtrate and we're going to pour it right in. We're going to let this sit for another 4 minutes. Grab a piece of paper and a pencil and draw what you see. What's happening and why do you think it's happening? So go ahead and write down what you see and I'll see you in 4 minutes. Okay, we've left our solution for about 4 minutes. Now what have you noticed since you've been observing the experiment? What happened to our solution? What is that sort of precipitation on top of the solution? If you guessed DNA, then you would be right. What you're seeing right now is the extracted DNA from the banana. Is this what you thought it would look like? Do you think that if we did this to a human per se, the DNA would look the same? It's hard to say. If you have a little mixing spoon near you or metal rod, try stirring it a little bit. What's happening? When you stir DNA as such, it begins to spool and form. Did you notice how that happened? We just extracted and are now looking at DNA. So now that we just looked at some DNA, let's reflect on our experiment. Is what happened what you expected to happen? What was that image in your head when you thought of DNA? And now looking at it, does it look like that? We did extract DNA from a banana. What if we used other fruits? Do you think that the DNA of a strawberry or an apple would look the same as the DNA from a banana? And would this look different or the same on other once living things that weren't fruits, like a steak, for example? Do you think this would work if we used a non-living thing, like a piece of paper? That's a question I'll leave for you. Thank you so much for joining Miss Johnson's Science Lab, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye, everyone.